That's why it took so long for Allen to get to where he is.
Mm-hmm.
You look at
you think they're
Patrick
running
Mahomes.
sophisticated defenses in the Mountain West Conference, which
Right.
is where he came from at Wyoming? No, hell no. All right, welcome back. The Middle on a Tuesday. Barrett and Harry. Barrett's got the new computer set up, looking fly over there, man. Your glasses look different. Like the glare on the glasses looks even better.
Well, I mean, this is new Apple stuff, man. You know, you guys, I still can't trade over to an iPhone. I got to stay with my Droid.
Yeah,
but I mean, it definitely makes life easier with these with this new computer, man.
It definitely does. All right, now let's get into this because I sent this to you, and you touched on this yesterday,
and even before yesterday.
Right. Yeah, this has kind of been a theme for pretty much at least the second half of the season.
Yep.
With regards to Jalen and other quarterbacks in the league, but McMullen puts it in Philly Voice today. It says reading the NFL's problem at quarterback, and he's got the video of the Buccaneers linebackers coach, I believe, on the sidelines after forcing a sack on Hurts, saying, "This guy can't read. Keep him moving around now. He can't read. He's going to give us a couple," meaning turnovers.
Right.
And sure enough, he did. How many times was it? 2 interceptions?
Yep.
In that game? Yeah. And he goes on to say Hurts' inability to, quote, read defenses is an NFL problem. However, not just a Philadelphia issue.
Well, actually, you know what? Actually, the coach is Kevin Ross, a local guy.
Oh, that Ross was a Temple guy.
Yeah, local guy. Yeah.
He's been coaching for Arians ever since, like they are out in Arizona together. I remember he might have been with him at certain spots elsewhere in the NFL too. But yeah, I know Kevin. I think he's a South Jersey guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Kevin Ross said it, and it is a problem that these new quarterbacks coming into the league, I mean, they're faced with.
Mm-hmm.
See, I tried to break it down yesterday, but I'll make it even simpler. Everybody if you look at college football games, the entire team when they're on the field, they go to the line, and what do they all do?
Look at the sideline.
Exactly. When you look at the sideline to see what the call is, that's keeping them from reading the defense.
Right. The coaches are doing it.
Yeah, the coaches are.
Right.
So how are you teaching this young kid how to read a defense if he's looking at you to tell him what to run?
Right. Yeah.
So that's the problem right there. The problem is not necessarily they can't; they're just not taught to.
Right.
And it's going to take them a while for them to learn that.
Yeah.
That's on the shotgun with these spread offenses. Defensive coordinators, when you get to this level, they scheme you more. They do things to stop what your strength is. They didn't do that in college.
No.
In college, man, they just went out there on a whim and a prayer and hope that those front four can create pressure, or they might send a blitzer.
Every now and then they'll send a blitzer.
Right.
Yeah,
so they didn't have to deal with that in college. So it's not just him. That's why it took so long for Allen to get to where he is.
Mm-hmm.
You look at.
You think they're running sophisticated defenses in the Mountain West Conference, which is where he came from at Wyoming? No, hell no. Seriously.
Exactly. And can you imagine it's probably doubled and tripled once you go over to the Pac-12?
Right.
Because they really don't play any defense. They don't even play defense. They play defense worse than the Big 12, and the Big 12 doesn't play defense, period.
Right. Now, let me ask you, since we know that the best players, by and large, on defense are playing the SEC.
Yes.
That doesn't necessarily mean they're being coordinated like the pros are. I mean, it's like
they're not.
Right. You could survive more on their athleticism and just their, the fact that how good they are as players, just straight players without even scheming them, right?
No. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you see Burrow's playing the way he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
He's used to being around those top tier defenses. So it doesn't bother him to have everybody flying around him because that's all he saw when he was in college.
Think about how many, future pros he went up against every day in practice.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and you look at Hurts. Look how many pros did he throw to?
Right.
He played with. I mean, these guys come into the league, man, and they don't know how to read, man. They haven't had to. All they do is get to the line and look over there to see what the coaches tell them to run, and then they run it. So
Right.
that's why all these guys are inept. They're coming in and running what you need them to run. They're not reading defenses. Do you really think they're reading defenses with the Ravens? No. And
No.
you know, another thing that, you know, that when I looked at McMillan's article and read it, he hit something right on the head also. He said all these coordinators are trying to scheme things as opposed to reading what's going on out on the field. So they're basically guessing what this defense is about to run. And if it's not what they're going, then they just take it as an L. Oh, this is going to be a loss down. If they're in man, we're screwed. And that's what happens. If you don't guess right, the play doesn't work because you're scheming. You're not teaching the guy how to see what's out there. And you know, and when you look it up, what you heard from the analysis from the guys doing the game, that's exactly what they were talking about. Exactly. Troy Aikman.
Well, Aikman goes on here with a great quote, man.
Yeah.
I tell you, I love the crotchety older Troy Aikman. He's really starting to appeal to me, right?
Right.
Aikman said on The Ticket, which is that radio station in Dallas, regarding CD Lamb only having one catch versus the Niners. And he says, I hate going back to when I was playing because nobody cares. But what I see around the league, it's not just Dallas. I've seen it with a lot of teams. A lot of these offenses want to scheme things. The coordinators, it's all about scheme rather than this corner is playing soft. He's scared to death. Just run the route tree, run a comeback, run a dig route, run a curl, run anything. You're going to compete the pass whenever you want. And that's what he was complaining about with the Eagles, with the way they were getting Devontae Smith's coverage, right?
Exactly.
In the playoff game.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
all right, let me give you this then. I'm going to give you two examples, not just one,
Go
but
ahead.
two. The one everybody saw was, all right, look at the first game we played against the Bucs. And you see the first drive, the first two drives, Brady's trying to push the ball down the field. But then he went to the sideline, looked at his Microsoft pad, and said, you know what? Look how far these corners are playing off. Me trying to force it down the field is just like me bumping my head against the wall.
Right.
Why am I trying to do that when they're lined 10 yards
That's
off?
what they want me to do. That's what they
Exactly.
prefer I do, because maybe I'm going to throw up an interception. Right?
So then he said, you know what? I'm going to take what the defense is giving me. So he gets to the line. He looks over there. All right, I'm not going to look over there. But when I see Nelson 10 yards off the ball, I'm just going to throw a quick hitch to Mike Evans. And what does he do? Bam, throws a quick hitch to Mike Evans, 10 yards, a first down, 5 yards here, 8 yards, and he goes down the field and scores.
And he's hard to bring down, too, once you get the ball in his hands.
Exactly.
Like, you know,
so
get a
once you see what the
6-foot
defense is
cornerback.
doing, they're playing that far back. Why wouldn't you do it? Well, same thing happened when 2 years ago when you look at Ben Roethlisberger. We're playing against the Steelers at home. He goes in the game, he looks, and towards the end of the game, that last touchdown they had, Big Ben looks over, and I wrote it down in my notes. He sees Nathan Gary lined up against Chase Claypool, one-on-one. Remember that? And he literally stops, comes from underneath center, walks all the way over to the where the tackle is, and tells Chase Claypool, just run a double move against this linebacker right here. Points at the linebacker, tells him exactly what to run, goes back, looks at him again, say, you ready? And then hikes the ball and throws it directly to who he told he was going to throw it, a double move against Nathan Gary in a game for a touchdown. Not only did Nathan Gary not see it, but also McLeod didn't even come over to see what was going on. I mean, both of them saw it. Yeah. And that's just a veteran quarterback seeing a matchup and going to that instead of running the play that he was getting. So that's exactly what these young quarterbacks don't do.
Right.
They don't read the defenses. They don't look at opportunities. I mean, one-on-one with CD Lamb, that's exactly what Troy Aikman was talking about. I'm going to go straight with – I should have been going to CD Lamb the entire game. He also said, if that was Michael Irvin, me and Michael Irvin, and they tried to just single up Michael Irvin, he'd have had 10 catches and 100 yards before halftime.
Right.
Before halftime.
And a veteran league reporter and Hall of Fame voter, Clark Judge, recently told McMullen exactly what you have said, the exact same thing. Why would Tom Brady retire when he's got all the answers to the test?
Right.
In other words, I've seen every coverage that known to
Yes.
man. Like I come up there and analyze the defense, and I know exactly where I'm going to go with the ball.
Exactly. So, I mean, think about it, Harry. Think about this.
Yeah.
Here you are. You're going up against a defense, and you're basically guessing what this defense is going to do because you know your quarterback doesn't know how to read the defense.
Mm-hmm.
You're guessing that either it's going to be zone or it's going to be man. And if you guess wrong, the play is totally screwed.
Right.
That's what these young quarterbacks are faced with because they don't know how to read and they're not being taught how to read.
Well, and the other thing, they're not being taught how to read because it's really not the college coach's responsibility to teach these guys to play for the NFL. Their job is to win games and to teach these guys, how to win a national championship, how to win a conference championship, whatever.
Yep.
How am I going to win the game? Well, I could sit here and try to develop my guy for the next level, but that's not necessarily helping me win games today. And that's the problem.
Harry.
Yeah.
You're there to win games for your college. So, Tom, Dick, and Harry can be like, all right, I'm going to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about the education. They care about the football. They want to tailgate. That's why they're going to Alabama.
Right.
Not necessarily for the education you're going to get.
Just get me to the league, and I'll figure it out later.
And you know who went to Alabama, right?
Well, many people have. Who are you talking about?
Xander.
Wait, what's going on?
Xander went to Alabama.
Oh, Xander did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. How am I just finding this out now?
Yeah, we talked about it, man.
Who? Not me.
No, I know. Me and Xander.
Oh, okay.
He went to Alabama because he wanted to tailgate.
Right. He wanted to be. Well, have you seen the majorette squad for Alabama?
See?
the girls with the batons, they still do that down there. You know what I mean? Like that's something that my next door neighbor, who I had a crush on when I was like 12, used to do out in the driveway and in the street. She'd twirl the baton around and kick her legs up and do all this stuff. They still do that down there. So and they're all blondes and they're all hot. So that's why Xander went there. And I don't know who could blame him.
And then you look at you go to Ole Miss. All the kid has to do is go to Ole Miss and go to the Grove.
Right. With
That's
bourbon.
the biggest party in the world.
Yes.
Is them out there tailgating. We're talking about 5 miles worth of open space tailgating.
Right.
And they do it real big. They got big screen TV. They got 80-inch screen TVs underneath these
motorhome awnings
and everything. Yeah, it's unbelievable. You got big smokers and everything else. You go to LSU, they got a smoker so big, they got like 3 full-size alligators on a rotisserie going around. Yeah. It's like 5 foot long, and they're just going around on the rotisserie in their parking lot. Man, it's all about the tailgating, man. That's why they go to those schools, and you can't, and nobody wants to go to a school that's bad. Like, how do you get a kid to Kansas State?
Although they do have a good guard on the basketball team this year.
Who's that?
K-State.
Kansas State?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was definitely, when I got there, it was definitely a basketball school. It was definitely basketball. Like Blackman went there.
Rolando Blackman.
Yep.
Yes.
He went there. You know, it was a basketball. Henderson, all those guys went there. It was not a football school. Like I said, when I went there, they were ranked 106 out of 109 Division I schools. Only reason I went there because they said, yes, you could play basketball there. I made a verbal commitment because they said I could.
Mitch Richmond went there too. He was really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So, like, why wouldn't I want to go there, man? Because I want to play basketball. I'll be playing against Big Country at Oklahoma State, and at the time Paul Pierce was at University of Kansas. That's why I wanted to go there, not because of football. It was no football problems about it.
He was the truth.
Oh, him
Paul Pierce
and Jock Vaughn. It was him and Jock Vaughn.
He should have been a Sixer.
Right.
Damn Larry Brown.
Yeah. He picked my boy, even though he's from the crib.
Yeah, he picked your guy from St. Louis.
Yeah, he sucked too.
Oh my God! Just because he promised his mom. He said that on my radio show once. Like, you're going to seriously admit that today? Oh my goodness! All right, now there's
Larry Hughes.
Yeah, Larry Hughes, right? there's some controversy here on the stream. Joey B is starting controversy, as he's known to do.
Right.
Saying that the stream is demanding an update. Is my pullover fleece Nantucket red or coral? And is it $99.99 at the pro shop? Actually, this is Johnny O. Okay, I got this for free, but it's probably at least a $99 item. Johnny O is the brand that is started by Chris O'Donnell, the actor, his brother. Basically, I think Chris O'Donnell gave his brother some money and allowed him to start his own company and helped him brand it. Chris O'Donnell's he's loaded.
Well, see, I wasn't loaded, so what I gave my brother is free room and board. That's what I gave my brother.
Right, exactly.
And now he works for what's the busing system in Philly?
SEPTA?
Yeah, he works for SEPTA.
Wait, not the Cleveland Browns guy.
No, my younger brother. My younger brother came up here with me. Now
Okay.
he works for the post office. My middle brother, my prodigal brother, he works for the post office.
Okay.
My younger brother lives. He used to live me. I gave him free room and board when he came up here and sent him to school, and he ended up staying here, man. And now his son is actually the #1 high hurdler in the state.
In the state of PA or Jersey?
In Jersey.
Oh, wow.
He just ran the fastest time in Jersey. Actually, my boy Ruben Frank wrote an article on him last week. Didn't even know he was my nephew, and wrote a great article on him. And I called and told him, I said, I appreciate you writing the article. He said, what article? The one you wrote on AJ Brooks. I said, that's my nephew. What?
He didn't even know.
No, he said, I didn't put two and two together. I'm like, yeah, he got it off his muscle.
Now, does this guy play football too, or is he just a track guy? He does.
He plays football. He was a pretty good wide receiver. It was a throwing team, so every time they threw to him, he would make it happen, but he just didn't get that many opportunities. Like, he was a deep threat, man. He's like 6'3", 6'3", 185, 190 pounds.
And now he runs the 110-meter high hurdles, or does he also do the 300-meter intermediate hurdles?
Well, this is his first year running it. I mean, he's been running for a year and some months now. Hurdles. He never ran hurdles. He was mostly just a high jumper. Like,
he's an athlete.
He high jumped like 6'5", 6'6".
He's a serious athlete.
Right, better athlete.
Those guys that can hurdle at that speed, that's incredible.
Man, he's a good kid and everything. Was being recruited in football, but not like he was being recruited in track. Like, he went up to Wagner.
What, for football?
Yep.
Okay.
So he has an opportunity to play football, but I think he's a track guy. He'll be a track guy.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, as long as they paying.
Exactly right. Exactly. Exactly. All right, let me see if there's still anything else here good in this article by McMullen. The Aikman stuff was great.
Right, man. It's like, why wouldn't you throw to CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah.
He's your best player. He's a definite threat. He's open because he's one-on-one with CeeDee Lamb. Why don't you take advantage of that opportunity? That's really what Aikman said. Aikman said, he had 10 catches for over 100 yards in the first half. If you put him one-on-one against anybody, they didn't bracket him or anything. And that just goes to show that, the offensive coordinator Moore.
Yeah, Kellen Moore. Yeah, I mean, that's a blemish on him.
Right. He should have been trying to get the ball to his best player.
In his biggest game.
That's a lost art these days with coordinators. They're almost too smart.
Right. He goes on to say, while Aikman was discussing Dak's inability, whether personal or by decree, to recognize what the defense was giving him with single coverage on Lamb, you could have just inserted Hurts and Smith and you have the exact same lesson. Now, he used viola instead of but would work perfectly right there. And what's worse for the Cowboys is Prescott just finished year 6 and is getting paid a ton of money.
There you go.
Think about it in that respect.
Yes.
You've got a guy in year 6 who was a 4th-round pick and has worked his way into being the quote-unquote franchise guy, but at this point has yet to recognize certain things on the field as they happen.
Yes. Yes.
That's a big problem.
A huge problem. So it's not just the mere fact that they went man to man with CD Lamb. And that should have been that he should have had over 100 yards, like I said before halftime. But their inability to differentiate between an unhealthy Zeke Elliott and a healthy Pollard, who's more explosive. He's the most explosive of the two.
Yeah, he is. He's
And
got
he had
definitely
less
more
reps
jump.
than an unhealthy Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, that's an indictment on the offensive coordinator also.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You got to take advantage of the healthy one, the hot hand.
Yeah.
I mean, when did the NFL start believing in feelings being hurt?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, we didn't want to hurt his feelings.
That's why I love the NFL so much. Because I don't care about your feelings.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. What have you done for me lately?
Exactly.
That's what this league is. What it used to be.
Right.
What have you done for me lately?
Bucs defensive coordinator Todd Bowles just loaded the box against Hurts and used spies and slot blitzes to force the young QB to his left, where Hurts is more uncomfortable, and dared him to take shots throwing the football.
They brought the safeties, lined the safety up on the outside and blitzed them every single time they could. Whenever they could do it, they did it, which made him put him in a position where he had to go left, and they had to roll out and throw across his body. Now, as an offensive coordinator, you got to understand this and at least put a back over to that side or a tight end to block that guy if you wanted more time. And then when you're running the ball, if you have a guy on the outside, that means that defensive end is going to slant across the face of the tackle. The tackle has to know that, number one. You have to call plays to take advantage of that, number two. So what you do, you run a wind back play or a bend back play and have that, they used to run it all the time with Zach Ertz. Not Zach Ertz, but Dallas Goedert coming back and cutting the backside. Well, have him go across the tackle's face and then bring in from the opposite side Dallas Goedert coming into the blitz and hitting that little safety right there and cut right off that. Bro, they got 5-6 yards every time they did that. But that just comes from you looking at what the team is doing to you. And then, if they're going to load the box up like that, and when they say load the box, it wasn't just them bringing a linebacker into the box. What they did was they had 5 defensive linemen lined up on our offensive line. 5.
That's the bear front, right?
Bear front, yes.
Yeah.
We call it bear front. We call it Navajo. We call it double eagle. But then you have every single offensive lineman covered with a defensive lineman. So that means you're not double teaming anywhere. It's all single blocks. And oh, by the way, those 2 all-world linebackers are running free with nobody to block them.
Shaq Barrett and
No, not Shaq Barrett. I'm talking about Levante David and White.
Oh, okay. You're talking about them.
Both David and White are the linebackers. Who's going to block them? All right, you're going to ask a tight end or a fullback, or we don't even have a fullback, to block those guys. That still leaves one guy unblocked. And that's White or Levante David.
Yeah.
So you can't do it. So what do you have to do? You have to take advantage of what's going on the outside. You have Smith one-on-one with a guy that's lined up 10 yards back. Just throw a little in cut or a slant or a comeback to Smith. That's the first time anytime you wanted it. And that's what I'm talking about. That's to me, that's so idiotic. That's why I was losing my mind in the first half. Because yes, we need to run the ball. But not when at the extent of just bumping your head against the wall.
Right.
Throw it out to Smith. He's wide open. He has to run 10 yards before he gets the defender on him. So make him run 8 yards and run a stop. Throw the ball to him. That's 8 yards. Come on, man. It's simple.
Now we got to look at the stream here. Phyllis Brooks checks in.
Hey,
with
Mark.
this. Look at this. Harry, you are the truth. I love your dedication to saying it like it is.
You know what?
How about that? That might be the greatest post I've ever seen.
She says that all the time. She said, you know what? I like Harry. He's going to keep it 100.
You know why? Because I grew up a fan of Howard Cosell as like a 9-year-old. He would always, I'm telling it like it is. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is.
I'm looking at Voltron and you talking about Cosell at that time. You look.
I'm reading books on Howard Cosell. I swear to God, I still have them in a shelf over here. Like I'm 9 years old. 1974, watching
Cosell.
NFL films and reading books on Howard Cosell.
Wow,
What a dork. Now I'm wearing Nantucket red polos. Jesus Christ. What is happening?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. All right, we got more to discuss out of here, too, because he goes on to talk about the limitations that these coaches have with being able to work with these quarterbacks.
Yes.
And how that prevents them maybe from being, becoming the player that they could be, essentially. And that affects what we got here with Jalen Hurts. We'll be back in hour number 2 to start that off, and a whole lot more right here on The Middle with Barrett Brooks and Harry Mays on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel.